Hello, everybody, and welcome to SEOcharity webinar. Today, we are going to talk about crawl budget from the other side. And I pass the word to Anton to tell us about the project a bit more.
Okay, guys, it's a SEO charity event, and I'm talking charity and Alessia and Martin today about SEO. So our charity exists 3.5 years. We have collected all together. Oh, we're trying to help cats and dogs shelters in Ukraine. Right now, we are helping 5 shelters. We will try to help more, but yeah, it's all question about money. We exist 3.5 years. We have collected all together, thanks to you guys and to our sponsors. We have collected more than $80,000 all together. So if you want to give us some money, not us, if you want to give us money to our charity and we will help cats and dogs in Ukraine, yeah, please do. Even $5 will make a difference. If you can do regular payments, $10, let me know in a live chat. I'll send the link. Thank you very much, Alicia. Martin, it's all yours.
Thank you, Anton. It was very good. Martin, I want to introduce you first. Let me take this off. Okay. And Martin is a technical SEO and web performance consultant. He's got over 10 years of experience. And what is really peculiar and really good about Martin is that he's got a background in web development. So he's really, really knowledgeable in these kind of things. What he does, he optimizes and maximizes every website's revenue potential. By maximizing its web performance. And today, Martin is going to talk about the crawling budget of the websites, and which is especially important right now due to AI and how they crawl our websites, especially that Claudebot and many others. So Martin will tell us what to do about that. Do we block them? Do we let them do whatever they want? Or how do we optimize all these situations? Martin, it's all yours. Just a moment.
Thank you for introduction. Yeah, today we will talk about the crowd budget from the other side. Why I chose this topic, and I think it should be talk about it more, is because the rise of AI crawlers make problem now from other side. It's not anymore the problem of if Google is crawling our website enough, but now we are fighting with lots of very aggressive bots which are crawling our websites, and thanks to them they can be even offline. So yeah, as Olesia said, I have large background development. I was working over 14 years as a web developer. Last 4 years, I focus only on technical SEO and web performance, which is like my passion. I really love that job. Today, we will quickly go through what is crawler, since we need to know the definition, what is it, and also what the crowd budget is. Then we will look for crowd budget from the other side, and we will look also to rise of AI crawlers and scrapers. So what is a crawler? Basically, it is software or bot that systematically browse the internet and collect information from website. This year, for the first time, I remember historically, all those bots overall on the internet, they took 51% of all the traffic, which is huge milestone, and the technical SEO and crowd budget becoming even more important thanks to that. And let's talk maybe about different types of crawlers, because during the presentation we will talk even about good, bad bots, crawlers, and we can start, for example, with the well-known crawler, which everybody knows is Googlebot. There is when the term of crowd budget came is probably thanks to Google and Googlebot. And these bots, these crawlers overall are many times, for example, needed for search engines. Otherwise, they wouldn't have any content to index, to show to people. So they are really needed for many things. So there are a lot of good bots. However, different crawlers operate differently. For example, the search engine like Googlebot, they visit websites, check the content, take the content, find links, and process everything, and is doing again. But then there are bots currently, especially those AI bots or those bots for large language models, they just scale, they scrape content, and they never give you anything back. What these crawlers have to follow is we have a well-known file called robots.txt, which is basically a set of rules. What they can do, what they can't do. And this we will talk that is a huge problem that many of these new crawlers, they don't follow these rules at all. They ignore it at all. A few months ago, it was even a problem with large companies like Claude when they crawled much more than they should officially. And also the problem of crawlers in general, especially those new ones, that they still need to find like proper balance, like how many requests they can do, and to figure out like how often to visit website for new content. Google managed this over the years. There is no issues. Google, when see some errors during the crawling, it will pause crawling or reduce the frequency. But most of the new crawlers, they don't have all these systems still implemented, especially what I can see from server log analysis. And there are even just other types of crawlers, which is good to mention. For example, there are monitoring crawlers. They can check, for example, for broken links. For example, people who use Ahrefs, SEMrush, and these tools, all those services, they have to have own crawlers which are checking our website, which is also beneficial for us. It doesn't bring any traffic like search engine bots, but it still gives us some value. The problem starts with AI tools and large language models when there is, for now at least, is very little value for us. But there are tons of other bots like for archiving web content, gathering data for research, and even like basic monitoring like uptime of website. All those, they are crawling our website, and all those together making significant portion of the traffic. What is also important to say, they are even really bad crawlers. Kai, who was even managing some websites and care even about servers, I could see it very deeply in the logs. That they're really aggressive bots that are many times leading for outages, even like on website where we had infrastructure for thousands of dollars monthly, those bots was able to lead with that aggressive traffic to outage of those websites. And these bots currently are 37% of all traffic on the internet, these bad bots.
Wow.
So that's crazy number. As person who really worked partially as a webmaster and care about these things and had to block these crawlers, I can say that it was daily routine to block new bad bots. So let's move to what is a crawl budget. We need to also know the definition to understand why we should look to other side. The normal meaning of what crawler budget is, it's basically the number of pages or the given time from those crawlers to us, and we should really carefully work with this time, because even companies like Google, which has like tons of data centers, thousands of servers, they simply don't have unlimited resources that can give to us. It is also important to say that crawl budget is nothing like static. It's nothing like you will get 500 pages scrolled a day or 2 hours or whatever. It's very flexible based on the size of website, type of content. So, for example, my website can be crawled 500 times a day, but for short time, websites like the New York Times can get even millions of crawls a day to keep data fresh. And what influence actually that crawl budget? It is first thing what influence crawl budget is crawl demand, which you can influence this parameter as with quality of content, because it's basically mean how valuable or popular the content is, and based on that how frequently needs to be updated. So that's one parameter. And second is crawl rate limit, which will be important for the budget from other side, because it is the resources which we offer to bots. So, for example, in case of Google bots, it's not a big issue because it's like very kind of soft crawler which doesn't really trigger issues until the website is really bad. Even I could see even that in my career. And so it is up to us as website owners how we work with this crawl budget, because we can have, especially typical for e-commerce sites, they can have on indexing of search, multiple filters which are not needed, and crawlers will be kind of stuck in circle of crawling the same pages, and they wouldn't have enough time to crawl other important pages. That's typical crawl budget issue. The probably most typical I see are with this e-commerce website. And it's also important to say that normal crawl budget issues are not really typical for small or medium websites. They're mostly typical for large website, but it's not necessarily said that only for large website. It can be problem even with some smaller website, unfortunately. And I found very interesting research actually for this. It's from company Botify, and they found on their clients that actually pages loaded under 500 milliseconds. I guess it's loaded means like TTFB parameter, which is time to first bit. They get like 50% more crawls than those who has like 800 second or 1000. So there is like direct correlation that the faster it is, the more time you have. Basically, if Google give you 1 hour, you can use that 1 hour for 1000 fast pages, but only for 500 slower. Mhm. So let's take that main part of topic today, which is crawl budget from the other side. From the other side, in this case, referring how much resources me or we as a website owner allocate to crawlers. This problem, I would say, didn't exist before like AI era, when there was kind of limited amount of bots on the internet. But now, when there is like new bots every single day, because everybody's creating their own tool, even thanks to vibe coding, everybody's like releasing own tool, and many times they need to even crawl data from websites. There are many crawlers which are even like really terrible. Like, I mean, I have first-hand experience when I try to code some crawler, and until I polish it, I get lots of requests to my website, which almost lead to outage. So So what we need to consider now as website owners, it is like server cost. Probably this is not really related for people who has like $20 a month web hosting, which they don't care about anything. Simply they pay this flat fee. This is mainly problem for larger website with more complex infrastructure where they pay for bandwidth, for CDN, and they really take this thing serious because they don't want to have overloaded servers for which they are paying hundreds of dollars a month. And so we need to take the consideration that every visit of this bot simply consumes CPU, memory, and even storage of logs, which when you have millions of visits and millions of rows of logs, it take like a lot of place and money for storing this data. So when there was like few bots, it wasn't really big issue, but now when there are like dozens new basically every month, it's really making large cost for some companies, especially those who doesn't have really optimized infrastructure for now, which I would say unfortunately is the majority of websites. And the amount of this traffic or this bots generate, they can really lead many times to very slow response of servers or even like complete outage, which I had also experience with this as owner when it was mainly triggered by those bad bots because they are many times hitting 404 pages since they are just randomly trying some endpoints. But those pages, especially those 404, since many CMS, they have logs of 404s, the amount of 404s simply trigger overloading of database and outage of system after that. So the biggest problem is also that they are just scraping data. Most of these bots, these new bots related to AI, they are just scraping data, often really aggressively. There are just even like hundreds of requests per second many times. And they are simply ignoring any rules. As I said at the beginning, they simply ignore robots.txt or any like rate limits set up, and they are draining resources. They really ignore everything. And this leads to that some hosting platforms recently they started to block actually this AI crawlers, which if they are those bad bots, we can take it probably as positive things. But if a hosting company without my knowledge will block some important bots like ChatGPT, Claude, probably those bots where I want to probably appear as a brand, it's starting to be pretty huge problem for business owners. So it is like big consideration now, even for those good bots, like let's say ChatGPT, Claude bots. We should probably take them as positive for now. It really depends, like how we will balance the costs, server costs, and the benefit which we get back from them. Because just simple blocking of all bots, it's not really solution, I think personally. I also find really nice case study for this. I found a platform called Read the Docs. It's like open source documentation host. They blocked intentionally all AI crawlers, which lead the traffic dropped from 800 gigabytes to 200 gigabytes per day, which translates actually for saving $1,500 on bandwidth fee monthly.
How much? How many?
1,500,
Oh, wow.
15,
Each day.
1,500. No, monthly.
Ah, monthly.
Thanks,
Ah, okay.
thank God the bandwidth
Still
is
good.
not that expensive.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, for open source platform, which needs every single euro, dollars, it's a lot to save those money. So that's what we need to keep in mind now that we are paying for those crawlers now, since they are overusing the platform. So let's move to that. We can call it that is actually a rise of AI crawlers and scrapers. And that's the reason why we are talking about this budget, because they are making huge problems with the crowd budget from the other side. There was actually significant growth of these AI crawlers in last 2 years, even when this AI tools, I guess that GPT 3.5 came like 2022. Like that growth of this bot start like just last 2 years. So and it's triggered a lot of problems. So we will see even in next slides the portion of each bot, for example, with Cloudflare. And it's pretty interesting data. So as I said even before, that many of these AI tools are very badly programmed, which are not following, not like intentionally not following rules. Simply those developers, many times they don't know even they shoot something like robotics to check. Simply they just program their crawler and they don't care about anything. And until they optimize it properly, it's simply doing tons of requests without any limitation. It can even make problem for their own servers from which they are running that. And the reason why these AI crawlers they do this is because, for example, if those crawlers are focused for large language models, they simply need a lot of data to make their platforms, the language model better. That's why they need to scrape a lot of pages, which many times, since they are scraping everything page by page, they are many times hitting uncached pages, which are taking lots of resources, which maybe the viewers, they spot the problem of Wikipedia when they had pretty large problem with this crowd budget from the other side, thanks to these AI bots. I have even graph in next slides for that. And the problem with these AI crawlers is also that they're just calling data and they are not really giving us back, or like not giving us back enough for now, because okay, we can get some clicks from ChatGPT Claude, but the value is for now not really big, I would say. That, for example, the ratio, that amount of crowd page for one visitor in case of Google is approximately 10 crowd page for one visitors who Google give us, but in Perplexity was 200, in ChatGPT 1.6 thousand, and in Claude it was over 70,000 of crowd pages per one visitors from them, which it's crazy. I mean, most
Or
of websites, yeah, most of websites they never get any traffic, but their data was taken for training and for everything. And websites which I managed personally, they typically had to actually 70 to 90% of bot traffic, which is crazy. Just like maybe 10% of humans on the website, and we have to pay those bills for those bots. But average is still around that 50%. Um,
and maybe those bigger websites that they get referenced more because they're considered an authority, and so they just
yeah. So I wanted to say even one more issue I almost forget with these AI crawlers, which I could spot as webmaster, that I spot there that many of them they was trying to hide who they are. Like they really use like user agent as normal visitor,
Mhm.
but you can see that normal visitor is probably not visiting like 2000 pages within a few minutes. So it's hard to block them, those robots, after that, because if they are not saying clearly who, like what they are, it's really hard to block, because since those IP addresses are many times dynamic, and if somebody is running that crawler from personal computer, you can block whole range of IP address of somebody. I have also personal experience when we blocked like IP addresses from one, I would say, attack, since it was checking vulnerabilities. We blocked this few ranges of IP addresses, and yeah, some clients then wrote us why we blocked them, because they wanted to really buy the product, but unfortunately, they was in that IP range of that attack. So, and because of these problems, there are many companies start to implement it. I would say very aggressive anti-bot measurements, like very aggressive captchas. I mean, probably everybody spotted like Cloudflare, when some website using proxy from Cloudflare or hosted on Cloudflare that ask for us some captcha to verify that we are not robots. And it's unfortunately more and more often, because it's even for them it's very hard to recognize who is bot, who is not. Especially for me, currently in different country, I'm visiting websites from my home country. I have to click it almost on every single page, because for them it's strange why somebody from Asia is accessing Slovak language content in Europe. So I have to verify all the time because of this. And also, last thing related to this is that many services, they start intentionally like poisoning data. For example, I guess it was Cloudflare AI Labyrinth, who is like that when is detect that the crawler doesn't respect rules from robots.txt, they are just generating like bullshit data to make them really hard to train anything. So it's simply companies are trying to do everything what's possible to fight with these bots. Here we have that graph from Wikimedia, that owner of Wikipedia. There are some peaks, but those peaks are not that important. The important is the trend from 2024, how the traffic because of AI bots is growing pretty significantly. And thanks to that, Wikipedia has pretty huge problem, because they have an intelligent system for caching pages, especially like predicting those pages which will be visited by people. But since these AI bots, they are simply checking page by page on Wikipedia, they have problem with that because those pages are not cached. They are going to directly to main servers, which is taking a lot of resources. So this is the current status of AI bots. This is from the Cloudflare network, which is, I guess it's one of the biggest, if not biggest, network on the internet. They are, if I remember correctly, it's 20% of all internet traffic is going through them. And this year, this data are from May 2025, that ChatGPT bot has already like 30% share. 30% share. Is it moving? And CloudBot has 21% current share. Meta with their AI tools has 90% share. Amazonbot 11, and ByteSpider has 7.2. ByteSpider is a crawler from company who is owning TikTok. So that bot actually made pretty huge problem in the past until they optimize it. So in over a year, we have 80% growth of the traffic. So this is actually the status of those bots from May 2024, just 1 year ago. We can clearly see that ByteSpider was with 42% share. Personally, at the time, I worked as a web developer in one company where I was managing website, and I can say that I had to personally block by Spider even because first we didn't see really value, but second, it was probably some early stage of that bot, but he was really draining resources. It was simply not any fair usage. It was hundreds of requests per minute, which was really slowing down our services. On the second place was at the time CloudBot and Amazon Bot at third. Yeah, as we told that this year it was chatbot, ChatGPT bot was the first CloudBot keep the place. So what we can do with that? Now we know problems, what our website has probably, and so what we can do. There are some essential optimization which are really valid even for normal crowd budget, which is like we can remove unnecessary pages and parameters from URLs to simply reduce the amount of pages which we have. Those unnecessary pages, of course, not removing some important content. The second thing is we can block an important section of the website in robots.txt, especially those system pages, which are many times without cache because they can't since they have processing of data of users, like I mean checkout page and similar. And what we can do is improving site speed to allow even those good bots to crawl more pages at the given time. And we should also start to work more with caching because kind of it's not our problem because it's not hitting our servers anymore. So it's hitting server, for example, of Cloudflare, CloudFront, and those other services. Of course, we have to pay the bill for those services, but still they are cheaper than paying a direct bill for real server like even like VPS dedicated servers or whatever servers. And very important thing is to optimizing code to speed up TTFB. That's for case when they don't hit cache. Because I mean, as I put their screenshot from my website, if you hit cache, the TTFB was 41 milliseconds. Without, I guess it was around 600. I didn't optimize my website too much, to be honest. And if we don't optimize the TTFB under some reasonable amount, I would say at least like below 1 second or ideally below 800 milliseconds, what we can see many times it's around 1.5 or 2.5 seconds TTFB. And that means that code is very inefficient, and what will translate into when simply the traffic will come from those AI bots and any type of bots and crawlers, it will probably lead to significant slowing down of website or even to outage, because at least that's like pattern what I could see on website. If they had pretty high TTFB, they simply very fast, they collapsed under that AI traffic. And also the last possibility is like limiting some crawlers within robots.txt, especially those who respect that file. Not all, unfortunately, respect it. There are some advanced optimization, which even cost slightly more money, but especially for enterprise clients, I would recommend them using all the time. And it's using CDNs such as Cloudflare, CloudFront from AWS, and also using firewalls, specifically web application firewalls, which can block a majority of the bad traffic. And it's not really cheap service, I would say, for websites with large traffic, but many times it's cheaper than paying those resources for servers. So, and what's important is it's complete blocking of those bad bots. the best way is to block them on that layer of CDN, because that's before they hit our server, and or like at least like throttling them to set up some limits what they can do, and if they hit limit, we will just answer with error 429, which means they are rate limited. Important thing is that we need to secure our website overall to be able to handle this AI traffic. So first of all, we need to have enough of resources to handle the traffic. Unfortunately, like average WordPress website with 20 plugins on shared hosting can't handle more than 1 or 200 visits per minute. It will collapse after, even with caching plugin many times, because there is still very bad optimized code with majority of plugins. So what we can do is, as I said, we can implement a CDN or proxy with that active web application firewall. We can even use those new services like Cloudflare, AI Labyrinth, or similar services. We need to keep in mind this service, if I still remember, is in beta. So when we turn it on, it has to be really closely watched if everything is okay, if we are not blocking something what we don't want to block. And so we have to also block the malicious bots. And what's the most important is proactive monitoring of server resources. I know that most of company, they don't do it. They can't really even afford. They simply just once paid for infrastructure, they don't care anymore. But without that proactive monitoring, first of all, we don't know any details how those bots behave on our website. And second, we don't know like when our website will be dead, basically, under that amount of traffic. With that, we'll help server lock analysis, which probably many people they already heard related to crowd budget, because this server locks compare like with Google Analytics or other tool, this is happening on the server side, which is really collecting every single visit which was hit on the server. So we have very deep and good data, and we see like how bots are crawling, how often, which pages. So we can even analyze many issues related to normal crawl budget, but we can even find many useful information to take like measurements at front of this bad bot. I really recommend, especially for large website, to really doing active monitoring of these server logs. Personally, I used to use some advanced tools like Grafana. I mean, people who work with server logs probably knows that there are good tools to show even real time those logs, because sometimes, especially during those attacks of that malicious AI bots, you need to watch it in real time and take measurements in real time. It's like not enough to take it 2 hours after when people couldn't access your website and you lost thousands in like lost orders. So and what we should do with that real-time monitoring or overall the monitoring is that we should really proactively look for some unusual behavior in that logs. For example, you can just do amount of logs in the column graph, and you can see if there are like some high spikes. You can just investigate what happened at that time, and it's really helped to block very bad bots. When I work with, I would say like medium size page, like something between 50K to 100K pages, we had, for example, 4 to 5 large attacks with this malicious bot per day. Every single day, there was like 4 to 5 attacks. Sometimes they was even successful to lead outage, unfortunately, because it's very hard to detect them until there is somebody sitting 24/7 at front of computer and taking those measurements. So, and the main reason of this very aggressive bots, they are looking for vulnerabilities. So it's especially important for people with WordPress and those like public CMS. So, and what I do recommend, what we should do, we should take some complex strategy. We should care about this crawl budget, optimizing some things for crawl budget. We should even secure our website and possibly to use some of those advanced technique like the CDN. We should stay proactive and doing active monitoring. Simply like monitoring of the website is overall is the key on multiple stages, not just watching for resources, logs, even like for Search Console, other analytics tool. It should be reviewed at least like on a weekly basis by somebody to know if everything is going well or we need to take some measurements to fix something before it makes some problem. So there are two questions which many people asked me in the past, and it is like if they should block AI crawlers or allow only some of them. It's very hard to say. There is definitely not universal answer. Definitely bad bots should be always blocked, but those good bots like ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, I personally wouldn't block them. Maybe nowadays, maybe this year, maybe even next year, we won't maybe benefit enough. Simply the cost for server resources will be higher than we get the benefit back from those services. But personally, I believe that from the long-term point of view, it will be worth it. It just take probably more time to until even they find that business model, what they want to do, how they want to do. Because personally, I still think they are like babies. They simply don't know what they want to do because when we see how they burn tokens, like you pay 20 euros per month for some package and you in reality you use like tokens for 200-300 euros. It's definitely not currently business model for them. They are just burning money, and until they find the business model how they want to do, we probably should let them to take some of this data, maybe with some limits, and we will benefit hopefully in future from them. So did they even answer if that cost me like 20 euros on resources, but it doesn't bring any users for now? It's like there are people who can't afford to doing these resources, especially maybe those some open source projects. Maybe they can block it for now, but personally, I wouldn't recommend it. I still believe from that long-term positive benefits. So that's everything from my presentation.
And thank you so much, Martin. Yes, I will ask you a few questions. I'll take off the presentation for now, but if you want, I may leave it. Uh, do you think that ordinary person, ordinary SEO, without your background in web development, can do anything about this situation, or do they actually need to hire a developer to help them out with this infrastructure optimization and everything else? And how do they control it at all? Because, like, frankly speaking, most SEOs have no idea even what infrastructure is.
Yeah, it's probably most of people they can do. I can talk about this because I have first-hand experience when I was like, because of lack of resources in company, I was even forced to understand those DevOps things, server administration. So I have like more. I'm not definitely expert with managing servers, but I was forced to have some knowledge as I had to resolve many issues alone. But yeah, the truth is like most of people are probably not able to resolve these issues. Maybe what average person is able to do is like to install some caching plugin, maybe to set up CDN, but even that can be slightly dangerous because you need to set up their name records, DNS, and For me, it looks like
Exactly.
very simple things, but I can imagine that many people they can really break things with that.
I've seen people installing such weird plugins to optimize the speed that actually hurt their rankings in a really, really bad way, and they had no clue about that. And so I just, realistically, I think that most people will be unable to do anything about that. Where can they
Yeah,
learn? Where can
yeah.
they
It is
learn?
even it is even very hard to find. For example, let's talk about WordPress. It's very hard to find good plugin. For example, out of those most popular, let's take 5 most popular SEO plugins for WordPress. I can recommend only Yoast because only Yoast behave properly. They do only requests which they should do. They are not taking any data from database which they don't need. Because other plugins, it was just crazy mess when since I manage websites with lots of traffic, they behave differently. I mean, if you install to website with 1,000 visitors a month, any plugin, okay. But if you install bad plugin on website with hundreds or millions of visitors a month, even like few inefficient queries to database, which that plugin will do, can simply lead to outage of website.
Are you talking about WordPress particular right now? Not about any
Uh,
CMS?
about WordPress, because I don't have that extended experience with any other CMS, so
Okay.
I don't want to say anything for Drupal or Joomla because I don't have that good that extended experience with them, so I can't say.
And what also I found out is that people who start like blocking bots, sometimes they do. We talked about it before the webinar. We talked about the vibe coding thing. So sometimes you think, now I have ChatGPT or I have Claude or I have Gemini, so I can vibe code this solution myself. I can ask them what to do and they will help me. What do you think about that? Did you have to clean up the mess after vibe coders?
Actually recently did like tool which I wanted to help some things like just in house for me, and yeah, I didn't want to give the time that to really properly program it because I didn't have time for that to focus for that. So I tried actually vibe coding for that. It was like pretty funny experience. I'm not really huge fan of vibe coding, but just when I see, for example, I needed to do some authentication, and the best idea for that cloud code was like just to turn off any authentication. I said, oh, I have some 403 error, which means that there is some authentication issue. And Claude just realized, oh, the best idea is to turn off authentication at all. So if I would really sit into production, I I would be hacked within hours.
That's interesting. Well, you've mentioned the TTFB, and that's something that many, many SEOs struggle with understanding. And yeah, you've mentioned that code optimization would help. So, what is the most widespread code problem that leads to higher um,
Mm.
TTFB
Overall, I would
in
say
your
it's like
experience?
really, it's like code inefficiency. Simply, many like developers, they don't really consider, they simply just code things and they don't really review the code after. I mean, like really deep review that they watch how the code behave with more traffic, because it's fine when as like as developer I code something on local host with like I don't know 10 15 samples, have that code completely differently behave with for example 1 million rows in database. So they
Mhm.
simply didn't try to use the code in scale, which trigger many times this inefficiency. And they also request many times from database simply things what they don't necessarily need. They
How
simply
does
take everything and they filter it after.
Okay, how can SEO understand that this is happening and tell them what to exactly to fix?
It's very hard to say. I mean, because my role in this case is even not like there are many SEOs with non-developer background who can't even do what I do, because I'm really able to run locally the copy of the project and to really watch how the code behave, what request is doing, and I can see those inefficiency there. But even like most of like tech SEO people, they unfortunately can't see this detail because it really required the development experience. What they can do is basic things like just put HTML file with nothing, just like maybe with few characters, upload it to server. If you can load that file with TTFB with few hundreds milliseconds, in that case, it should be like below 200-300 since it's just plain HTML file. And the website normally loads with TTFB over 1 second. It's clearly problem of code. If that plain HTML file will also load within 1 second, then is problem with infrastructure, with server, but otherwise it's code. That's only, I guess, debug what most people can do.
Yeah. And in your experience, mentioned Grafana. Not every ICO can actually set up it properly. What other tools can we use to see the log file? Like I just go and see the raw
Yeah.
log file, so I have my eyes trained
Mhm.
on that. But what should other SEOs do? Not setting up because Grafana it also costs something. It's not free when you have lots of data there. So.
Definitely. Uh, There is like Screaming Frog has tool for this, which is not really expensive, but that unfortunately requires that you need to download those data from server. But probably in that case, you will ask developer or somebody who cares about infrastructure on client side. You will ask for the dump of those data, and then you will check it in the software. Only like really enterprise clients, they have already this solution like Grafana, Loki, or OpenSearch. There are many tools. It's like Grafana is not only tool, it's like just most famous one. And the disadvantage of that Screaming Frog is, if I remember correctly, it doesn't operate in real time at all. There is no possibility like that. I personally don't use it. I use that Grafana most of cases, even when I run it locally. So I don't really remember what capabilities they are in that Screaming Frog tool.
So let's take again an ordinary SEO. They finally got to their log files. They requested them from their developers and whatever else. They opened the log files. Where should they look at? So they're seen there, yes. What should they pay attention to? Where should their focus be? What they should look out for? How do they
Yeah.
analyze them properly?
It even depends what they want to do, with what call they even ask for that file. Because if they're debugging the problem that, for example, Google is not crawling all pages on the website, then you need to really check like what pages was crawled, which not. And based on that, you will check other things like what's the reason probably if it's like it needs even a lot of experience to know for what I should look. From the other side, if we are talking about these AI tools, as like majority of people, I would look for some spikes. If there are really some unusual spikes in the graph, I would check them deeply, like what there is, why those spikes was there.
And what will you do with that? So you see a spike from somewhere. What
Uh,
do you do with that?
yeah. First of all, you need to check what bot it is. If it is good bot, You can maybe, if the bot support, you can set up some crowd delay, but as I know, most of bots, they don't support it.
Yeah, they ignore it.
And
Just
yeah,
like they
and
ignore
if
robots TXT.
yeah, and if it is bad bot, just look for user agent or for IP address and just ask them those IP address or user agent to block if it is something really like malicious. But probably most of people, if they don't filter just for some Google data, they will see in these server logs those many malicious logs. Or even many times, literally 50% of logs in many cases can be just uptime robot or something like that for checking if website is alive. So you need to really consider what's good bot, what's not, and based on that to decide to block or not. Or if there is simply a lot of traffic and you want to have the traffic from those AI tools, just optimize code or increase server, simply kind of accommodate that traffic on your website.
Many people, they will ask themselves now, what um, profit in terms of SEO will they have from doing all these actions? So they looked into log files, they figured out how to block something. Will their rankings improve because of all these actions? I'm sorry for such questions, but I know that people ask them. So I'm
Yeah.
like their voice.
Personally, even when I'm selling my services, I almost never talk about rankings. I'm saying that technical SEO, web performance, and overall, it is here because of people, because we want to make better user experience for them. Because if there will be like happy customers on our website, because our website is fast, stable, very fast, interactive, they simply are more likely to buy products which we are selling on website. And secondary, of course, when people stay more longer time on the website, they typically the ranking will come. But ranking is definitely something what shouldn't be looked on the first place in case of technical SEO. The main goal is really, I really like to say that the main goal is really to make visitors happy.
Because when they're happy, they will buy more. And
Yeah.
and one more question, which I usually have no lots of people to talk about with. Talking about Googlebot, we know that it's called Googlebot, and almost all the time when they hit our website, they are the same name. But there are some people who really observe their behavior, and they say that this Googlebot in reality has around 10 to 12 faces, and they behave really, really differently. And each bot is programmed so there are different types of these Google bots, though they are named absolutely the same. Have you heard about that? Have you observed similar behavior? Have you worked with that? How to optimize for each of those Google bots?
I spot just those since I didn't really focus for that. I spot that there is like separate bot for images, separate for normal. There are multiple bots, but I didn't really optimize like deeply for each of one. But what I could see actually was there was many bots pretending to be Googlebot. Because I mean, as programmer, you can say that user agent whatever you want there. There is no verification system. Oh, there is probably Google probably
There is, yeah.
list IP addresses related, but if somebody doesn't check that, oh, is this IP address really in that Google bot? It's hard to know at the beginning that if it is really Google bot because okay, you see Google bot, but I mean, who knows all those IP addresses? So you would need to manually check it. That's
Oh,
with what
you can
I.
create a function that just double checks that and sends back.
Yeah, but it's already like a lot of effort for most of people because you need to know something extra, like at least to work with Python or something.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Martin. Where can people find you? if they want to contact you or find out more,
Yeah.
have some follow-up questions, if you are not against that.
Yeah, I'm currently on LinkedIn. People can find me on LinkedIn and Blue Sky, and even on my website, techeseovital.com.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone who joined us today for our webinar about crawling. You can still donate for small cats and dog shelters in Ukraine. Otherwise, you can share this webinar with other people so that more people will find out about us, more our audience will grow, and some of them would want to donate finally. So thank you so much for joining us today, and subscribe to join our other webinars.